What if I wait to buy? Should I wait? You know what? That depends on the reason you want to wait. Do you think values of homes are going to drop? Or maybe you're afraid you're going to lose your job. Is it because you haven't saved up that 20% down payment? Well, let's look at some of these reasons. Contrary to what most people say, the most important aspect of the home buying process is determining what you can afford and how much, if any, money you need to put down on a home. Traditional thinking has always said that you should work hard and save your money until you have enough for a 20% down payment so you can avoid that mean old private mortgage insurance. Now, in a perfect world, that could be true. The problem with this thinking is that for most people to save up enough for a 20% down payment, it may take 5 to 10 years or more. And how much money would that cost you if you had to wait that long before you bought a house? Well, let's create a hypothetical example. Let's say that you have enough income and your bills are at a level where you can save $400 a month, and you put that into an account that earns an after-tax 7% return. After a year, you've got $4,957, and in year 6, you've got $35,664. All right. Well, meanwhile, in that 6 years, that house that you could have paid $140,000 for 6 years ago is growing. If it was growing at just a 3% appreciation rate, which is more than 2.5% lower than what Kansas City's 30-year average is. In year 1, your house would have gone from 140 to 144.2, and in year 6, it'd be worth $167,167. So as you can see on the chart, it's in year 6 that your savings would be enough to put 20% down. And in that time frame, you would have paid a total of $81,623 in rent, thanks to the assumed 5% rent increases, versus $80,383 in after-tax mortgage payments. The house would now be worth $167,167, so that's what you'd have to pay for it today. The principal balance on the mortgage, if you'd have bought it 6 years ago, would have been paid down to $127,427. So you would have lost out on $34,873 in equity gain, and that comes from appreciation and paying down the principal. You also paid $1,240 more in rent. Plus, if you're buying in year 6, you're going to have to pay $27,167 more for the house. So your total loss over that first 6 years is $63,280, or $10,546 a year. So tell me, what's more expensive, paying a little extra because you have PMI, or waiting more than 6 years and losing $10,546 a year for a grand total of $63,280? Now, someone may ask, Kurt, what are the results if there's no appreciation? The numbers are the same, except the house would still be worth $140,000. So you would have had $12,575 in equity plus the $1,240 in payment savings. You would have paid the same $140,000 for the house in 6 years. So ownership would have put you ahead by about $2,302 per year. Now, you would be also 6 years closer to paying off your house. Now, since the payments were almost identical, you could have saved $400 a month in any equation, so there's no advantage there. Now, if you wait to buy, whether it's to save up for a down payment or just because you aren't quite ready to buy, if you expect home values to stay the same or go up, it's very expensive to wait. Of course, if you really think home values will go down, then why would you buy unless you found a property priced well below market value? Whether you buy now or not, there's one key thing that you have to do. You need to do something to protect your identity and to keep your financial information from being sold to any and all bidders. The credit bureaus have the ability to sell your information to other businesses so they can market to you. Now, this is one of the reasons you get so much junk mail. You know what? It's our opinion that this invades your privacy, and we feel it should be illegal. Unfortunately, the government doesn't see it that way. The government does, however, give you a way to remove your name from being sold by the credit bureaus. It entails you making a phone call to 1-888-567-8688, or you can do it online at www.optoutprescreen.com. Folks, this is a must-do no matter what you're going to do about buying a house. So go ahead and hit the pause button right now and call 1-888-567-8688 or go to www.optoutprescreen.com to opt out of this invasion of privacy. It'll only take a couple of minutes, and it could save your financial life. Folks, you are at so much more risk today than just a few years ago, and it's part of our mission to help educate you about those risks and what to do to protect yourself. This is just one way for us to fulfill our mission. So call or go online and take your privacy back. All right, well, let me get back to it. Let's say you're leaning towards purchasing a new house. To keep up with the theme surrounding buying a home in the 21st century and how the new rules of money have changed how we should look at our houses, we must first address tradition. Traditionally, when your folks bought a home, it was more for shelter and to help them to realize that American dream of home ownership. They didn't really think of their house going up in value and becoming such a great asset. And it's pretty obvious that that type of thinking has now changed drastically, which has been validated by a recent study done by Fannie Mae, who's the largest purchaser of mortgages. And they found that 84% of today's home buyers are buying a home for the long-term investment portion. Did you catch that difference? Buyers today are thinking of their house purchase more as a long-term investment rather than shelter and potentially realizing the American dream of home ownership. So if we think of the house as an investment, then we must treat it much differently than it's been treated before. We have to treat it as an investment and not the afterthought that it's been treated for the past 100 years or more. There's a big problem with treating your house as a long-term investment. See, we have lots of well-meaning people, including, your parents, your grandparents, financial professionals, your friends, your coworkers, your teachers, your banker, your real estate agent, and 99% of mortgage providers. They don't really understand how the house works as a leveraged investment, as a tax shelter, and as a tax-free way to grow their wealth. But they do understand one thing, that it's usually better than renting. So unfortunately, we listen to these well-meaning people, and many of us just leave it at that, and we never take the time to examine the accumulation of house wealth or to maximize the house's ability to help you create real wealth over your lifetime. Given that you will most likely borrow money throughout your life, your ability to learn how to borrow smart can dramatically impact your wealth creation over your lifetime. It's best to approach your borrowing from the perspective of maximizing your wealth. Does that make sense?